Hey, it's me, Vicky Marie. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in this crazy world we're living in. So, I'm a little bit earlier today with the latest on the mushroom murder trial. So, of course, it's a shorter day last night in Australia. It was a shorter day because it's Friday. Also, I've got lots of things to do later, so I won't be able to come on the time that I normally come on, that I like to come on, because I'll be out and about. But this afternoon, I will be back. I've got a lot of things that I want to chat about. I've literally just been writing a list. Oh my God, I've got about 7 things that I wanted to talk to you all about. So I'm just going to do a long chat this afternoon. So an early evening chat. I'm not sure what time yet. It depends what time I get back from all the stuff that I've got to do. So I'm going to have a little waffle before I get started here. Let's put my waffle emoji on. So yeah, believe it or not, I mean, I'm still not organised. I still haven't had any breakfast. I haven't washed up. I was up at 6 o'clock this morning, for goodness sake. It's just been one thing after another. Do you know when you have those mornings when everything conspires to make you late? So the very first thing that happened this morning was one of my dogs decided to be sick. So I had to clear that up. So that was nice to face at 6 o'clock in the morning. Then I always have to clear up other things after them and that. Then what happened then? Oh, then there was a cockroach, a massive cockroach that I had to deal with. Then there was an electricity cut, which that's happened twice now. So be prepared if I cut off in the middle of the stream. It's not like the big cut off that we had in Spain a few weeks ago. It's my system just tripped, like just went off, and it happened last night. And I don't know why, because there's not anything, that normally happens when you've got too many things on. Like if you've got the washing machine and then you put the kettle on and the air con's on or the fans are on, But it wasn't, there was not too many things on this morning. So I don't know why that happened. So then the electricity tripped. So I had to start everything again because I was setting up the studio and that. And then the other thing, it's not really, it's just all these little things. So I don't know if anybody out there knows, is it some kind of Muslim festival today? Because, so then the call to prayer was going on at in my village, because in my village there's a big sort of Moroccan contingent, Muslim contingent, which is fine. And every now and again they do this call to prayer publicly. There is a mosque somewhere here in my village, but it's not like a mosque, that looks like a mosque, all sort of lovely, attractive building. It's just in a block of flats, I think. So, but I don't know where this chanting was coming from. Now they don't, it's not every morning. It's normally if there's a big celebration going on, like Ramadan or Eid or whatever, and forgive my ignorance. I don't know a lot about the fact. There must be something going on today, because so the prayers have been going on all morning. The call to prayer, I presume it is. So I've had to close all the windows because, like everything in Spain, it's not nice, quiet. Well, I suppose it's supposed to reach the whole village, isn't it, and call everybody to prayer. So anything else that happened? So that's been my morning so far. Gosh, and it's only 8:15. Then I set the wrong time on the video. I put it start at 9, but I wanted to start it at 8. And I know that's a bit early for some of my British contingent, but I have to be finished by 10. So anyway, but the good news is I'm on my second coffee of the day. So I'll feel better after that. Though I will feel better when I've eaten something as well later. But here I am. I'm here. That's the main thing. And you're all here. Thank you. So thank you for watching, for liking, subscribing, for following this case, for caring about these victims, which, of course, again, we always have to remember the victims, don't we? Because it, I think not just in this case, but any case, you know, sometimes the victims do get lost, don't they? You know, people remember the name of the perpetrator, but they don't remember the name of the victims. Sometimes when I've been on media, mainstream media, looking at cases, I have to search for the names of the victims. You know, the name of the perpetrators will be like the headlines. But I'm thinking, oh, what's the name of the victims? And, you know, I go into the story on the media and you still can't find it. But anyway, so let's remember the victims before we start. So this was Don Patterson, Gail Patterson, and Heather Wilkinson. They all died. They were all invited to this lunch at Erin's, and they unfortunately died after ingesting death cap mushrooms. Ian Wilkinson on the right hand side there, he was luckier. He survived, but he had to have a liver transplant. So we must not lose sight, although, you know, this is such a bizarre case and we have some jokes going on and this, that, and the other. This is, you know, deadly serious. These people died. And they were the question really in this case is, were they murdered? Or was this just, as Erin Patterson says, so the person who's up for trial is Erin, and she says it was just all a terrible accident. But do you know what? I think at some point I'm going to count up the amount of lies that Erin has been caught up in. It's lie after lie after lie, you know, from first of all saying never foraged for mushrooms. You know, don't know. She doesn't know how those death cap mushrooms got in there. Now she's saying she has foraged for mushrooms, so it could have been an accident due to her foraging. And she said she didn't have a dehydrator. She'd never owned a dehydrator. Now she's saying yes, she did. Well, now she's saying she did because she was caught on CCTV dumping it. Then there's the messages she sent to her Facebook friends, criticising Don, etc. They are all, of course, family of her husband, her estranged husband, Simon. So Erin had a sort of in-law relationship with them. Then there's the lies about having, so first of all, that she's saying they were, you know, like second parents to her, but to her Facebook friends, she was criticising them and being annoyed with them. Don't know what the dog's doing. It's tipping over the food by some of it. Then there was the lies about having cancer, and the lies go on and on with Erin. So it's sort of come to a point where you can't really believe anything that comes out of her mouth. But her defence seems to be everybody else's line except her. So all these people that are saying things like doctors and health professionals and her husband, everybody else, and Ian Wilkinson, the survivor, everything they say is not true. What she says is true, according to her. So thank you for caring about those victims because, yeah, they're so important. And what else was going to say? Oh, yeah, thank you to my members. We had a good stream last night in the members live. If you're not a member, please consider becoming a member. Thank you to those of you who bought me Ko-fis, sent PayPals or super stickers. Thank you so much. But more than anything, thank you for watching. And please, if you're not subscribed, think about subscribing because that is absolutely free. Okay, let's take off that ticker. So, hi lurkers. Good morning or afternoon or evening. Hi replay crew. Again, thank you for watching. And now I'm coming into the chat to say hello to you brave people that like to come in and chat. And those of you who are up early enough. Okay, hi Bluebell. Hi Tracy. Hi Angel. Oh, there's quite a lot of you here up early in that. Hi Maria. Hi Excel. Yeah, that's it. Erin's defence seems to be everybody else's, if not lying, definitely not, you know, it's not true what they're saying, but what she says is true. You had one of those days, Tracy. Do you know what it's like when one thing goes wrong? I knew as soon as I woke up, the dog then was sick and I had to clear it up. I was like, this is thing, because they normally come in threes. So I have had three. Then it was a cockroach. Then it was electricity cut. So I'm hoping that'll be it. In fact, there was more than three. Hi, David. I don't think Sheep Farmer's here, David. Are you being sarcastic? I don't think he's here at the moment. Anyway, oh well, I may have missed him. Somebody mentioned my nails. Thank you. Just put my nails. Luckily, I did my nails last night because I wouldn't have had time to do them this morning. Okay, so are you ready? Are you ready to hear the latest in the cross-examination of Erin Patterson? I mean, God, it's all over Sky News now, and even the BBC. You can tell that it's getting interesting, or as far as they're concerned, because they haven't really reported on this much at all. But every day now, the last couple of days since Erin started giving evidence, Sky News have featured it, as have BBC, and the BBC are actually there in the courtroom as well. But we're going to stick to the ABC News Australia because I've been using them all the way along, and I think they've been very concise. So again, just a reminder, it's not televised, this trial, but the media are allowed a certain number of places in the courtroom that are a lottery every day to who gets the place in the courtroom. But if they don't get a place in the courtroom, there's an overspill room where the media can go and watch. They are watching the trial on video, and they're allowed to report on it, but they're not allowed to release photos from it or videos from it or anything like that. But they're allowed to report on exactly what happens. So that's how we're getting our information. That's how I'm getting my information and relaying it to you, is from one of the journalists who is there for ABC News Australia, reporting on it. So we are getting everything sort of secondhand, but it's better than nothing, isn't it? Because it could be a totally secret trial where we're not even getting any information. So although we don't actually get to see Erin give her testimony in person, I think, we're getting the next best thing. I think the ABC coverage has been very good. Well, I presume so because I wasn't there, so I don't know. Would be great to be there and see it, but if we cut, it would be nice to. Because when you listen to someone talking to get an idea of if they're telling the truth or not, of course, it's important to be able to see their face, isn't it? But of course, the jury will be able to see Erin's face and all those, those little subtleties that, of course, we miss when we're just getting it reported. The jury will have seen everything, heard everything, and the jury will make the right decision at the end of the day. Whatever the decision is, it's the right decision. That's our process. In all modern countries, that's our process, isn't it? We go to take court trials, go to a jury. If sometimes it's just a judge, but at the end of the day, that's a democratic process. And so in that way, it is right. Even if you don't agree in the end with the verdict, whatever it is, the jury makes the decisions because the jury has the full story. We don't probably have the full story. But with that doesn't mean to say we can't form our opinions as we go. And we'll see if our opinions, if what we think or what we would think we would do if we were on the jury, does that translate to this actual jury? So it'll be a little while before we find out because the judge has said, basically, he literally said, how long is a piece of string? Doesn't know when this case will finish. So I think we've got another week at least, Monday is Charlie Boy's, what is it, his birthday or something. So they're having a day off for Charlie. So there won't be any trial. There won't be anything happening Monday. They've finished now for the weekend. So it'll be back on Tuesday, won't it? So, okay, let's have a look. Let's start. So I can tell you before even we start, it's more or less same old, same old. It's really, the prosecution asking Erin questions or referring to sort of her. Oh, God, of course it's not there because I did power cut. Oh, God, I've got to get it back up again. Do you know, the trouble is when you have a power cut, then everything goes. Everything that I'd set up. Right, let's see. Yeah. Let me go down to the first blog post. Got to get back to the first post. So even though it was only a short day, it was still quite intense questioning. There's a lot to read out, even though it's only half a day. Let's see. Okay, so, it's funny, they had electric problems yesterday, didn't they? And I've had a cut off this morning. It's like, maybe Erin's sort of sending out voodoo to us all. Anyway, so Erin Patterson. Oh, I'm not sharing. Let me share. Erin Patterson is seated in the witness box for a fifth day of evidence in her Supreme Court triple murder trial being held in Morwell. She's wearing a dark-coloured top with white polka dots, and prosecutor Nanette Rogers picks up her cross-examination of Miss Patterson. So let's remind ourselves. Where is she? Nanette. This is the prosecutor, Nanette Rogers. She's the one that's cross-examining Erin. Of course, the defence lawyer, because he'll probably pop up again at some point, is Colin Mandy, just to let you see the people that are involved in this. And Erin's husband, Simon Patterson, he gave evidence right at the beginning, but he comes into this cross-examination because Erin says that things he said in his testimony are not true. I wonder who we believe. Do we believe the proven liar, the atheist who doesn't believe in God? So you can't really take her oath seriously, can you? She doesn't believe in God. Or do we believe the religious family who do believe in God, who aren't proven liars? Just makes you wonder who you're supposed to believe. And of course, the testimony of Ian Wilkinson, she disputes that as well. Poor Ian. Not only she probably tried to kill him, now she's calling him a liar or saying that what he says is not true. So she's not a very nice person all round, is she really? But anyway, there you go. Everyone's lying except her. So yesterday, the hearing wrapped while Dr. Rogers was talking to Miss Patterson about communication she had with her parents-in-law in late 2022. In them, Miss Patterson was expressing frustration about a disagreement with her estranged husband, Simon Patterson, over how financial support should be offered to their children. Dr. Rogers now asked Miss Patterson to read out one of the messages she sent, where she indicated she'd keep updating her in-laws on issues where she felt Simon needs accountability. Erin agrees that the children's school fees was a big issue in the message she sent to her parents-in-law, but she disputes that she was trying to get Don and Gail to make Simon pay the school fees she felt he should be contributing. And of course, he should have been contributing towards the school fees. They're his children as much as they're hers. But it's funny. It's funny. She didn't worry about it. It's not the first year they were at school. Do you know what I mean? These children have been at school for years. So sudden, it seems like it's a sudden thing. It's all to me, it all roots from him saying he was single on that tax form. She had her nose pushed right out of joint, because why has she never bothered about the school fees before? Why suddenly she's bothered about the school fees? She's financially secure. Does she really have to worry about the school fees? But I'm not saying that doesn't mean he shouldn't contribute. Of course he should. But all I'm questioning is, why did it suddenly become an issue when the children presumably have been going to school for years? What's a stoosh? Any of you Australians out there? Erin denies she was trying to get her in-laws involved in school fees stoosh. That's a new word for me. I've never heard that word before. So she denies she was angered by Don and Gail. Under more questioning, Erin denies that she wanted Don and Gail Patterson to get involved. And Erin said, so Erin, the other thing is, I don't know, just don't know what you would expect someone to behave like, but she gets, she's narky with the prosecution. Do you know what I mean? She's like, you just feel that an innocent person, it would never have come to a court case in the first place, would it? The reason the police have taken Erin to court is because they feel they've got evidence that she's guilty. But an innocent person, getting all stroppy, like, you'd just be upset, wouldn't you? You'd be so upset, you'd be mortified that you'd been accused of something. Erin's attitude is she's cleverer than everybody else, even cleverer than the prosecution. It seems like you and I have a different interpretation of what I was asking him to do, Erin says. So Dr. Rogers asks again and says Don messaged saying he would not get involved. Sure, okay, Erin concedes. When she gets pinned into a corner, then she'll say either, oh, that's fair, or, well, it might have been like that, but I don't remember. These are her stock answers. So here, sure, okay. Again, it's not, no, you're right. Do you know what I mean? It's like she never, ever, she's so arrogant, I think, in her lies. That's my opinion anyway. Dr. Rogers then suggests to Erin that she was angry with the response from Don and Gail, which Erin denies. Again, that's a lie, because she was on the Facebook groups complaining about them. Why not just admit you were angry? I suppose because then she's thinking, oh, if I admit I'm angry, they're going to think that's why I killed them. But, I think people honesty is important, isn't it? Because people can see through bullshit, can't they? They literally can. I hope this jury can. I'm sure they can, to be honest. People can see through bullshit, I think. Definitely. So, hi, Bluebell. Yeah, somebody... A stoosh is a fight, is it? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, XL there saying, and that is something that I do think Erin doesn't have enough problems in life. So she invents problems. She invents illnesses because, most people are struggling through life, aren't they, one way or another? They're struggling with financial problems, or, their relationship problems, or going to work every day, working like, a Trojan, like to try and keep their family together. Erin's not doing any of that. She's got too much time on her hands to be a super sleuth. We're super sleuths, but we have to do it part-time. Erin was doing it full-time, so I don't know. So Erin denies that she was angry. So then Dr. Rogers suggests to Erin Patterson that she just moved the children to a new school after the financial dispute without forewarning her estranged husband. Incorrect, Erin says. Dr. Rogers asks if the dispute between the two had disappeared by December 18, 2022, when Erin sent a message to Simon while on holiday in New Zealand, asking him to help with a goat at her Gippsland property. So this is what Erin is used to asking Simon for help as well. You can see that. And some of the messages that we saw, Simon was saying to her, she's like, oh, sorry for asking you, but, and he was, no, you can always ask me for help. But that is Erin, isn't it? She's just attention seeking constantly. And she'll go to Simon for help because she wants that attention of him, which is fine. I mean, he should help. But then when she doesn't, I think what's happened with Erin is when she doesn't get what she expects to get, she's there like Lady Bountiful when she inherited her fortune and that, and she's lending out money and, she's loving being the centre of everything. But when it all starts to go a bit quieter and the relationship starts to distance, she doesn't like that because she wants to still be the main, everything revolving around her. So Erin said, I don't think it had completely disappeared. No, she says, but she said it had disappeared some weeks later. So Erin is saying that then they started getting on better together and the tensions got better. Then Erin puts on her glasses to look at the monitor before her as Dr. Rogers brings up a trial exhibit. It's a message that Erin sent to her Facebook friends, where she said Simon wanted to walk away from his responsibilities. That's his choice. So she told her Facebook friends Simon wanted to walk away from his responsibilities. Now, did he? Oh, did he really? So, of course, that's why then her Facebook friends would say, oh, God, how dare he do that? I mean, you would, wouldn't you? If somebody was telling you, trouble is, when you think about it in hindsight, her Facebook friends don't know Simon. Whatever Erin told her Facebook friends about Simon, as far as they're concerned, it was true because they didn't know any different. And I don't know about you, that's happened many times to me with friends, not even Facebook friends. They start telling you about their ex-partner and you think, oh, that's awful, and then you get to know them a little bit better. Maybe you get to meet their ex-partner and you think, oh, I don't know about this. So it's a shame, isn't it, really? But when you're only hearing one side of the story, you have got to be careful. Anyway, she goes on to say that perhaps it's a blessing in disguise because now she's no longer obliged to uphold her estranged husband's school preferences if he won't pay for school fees. And then Dr. Rogers suggests that Erin never told Simon about changing schools. And Erin says this is incorrect. So again, basically what she's saying is Simon must have said she never told him. And she's saying, no, Simon's lying. And we don't know only Erin and Simon know who's lying. But she says she told him of the change in March 2023. So Dr. Rogers then refers to evidence from the in-laws, Matthew and Tanya Patterson, who had said that Erin was attending fewer Patterson family events in the years before the lunch. Erin says, up until the first half of 2023, I don't believe there was a change in my participation. She says, I think there was a change in the family events through some of that time because there were a lot of COVID lockdowns, which is fair enough, I suppose. And she disagrees, however, about Matthew Patterson's evidence that she attended fewer events in the years leading up to the lunch, saying that he had the timeline wrong. everybody's wrong, aren't they? It's amazing, isn't it? You know, the doctors were wrong with what they said. The health, the sort of social, the health worker, she was wrong. Simon's wrong. The police are wrong. Everybody's wrong in their recollections except for Erin. So when asked about her relationship with Simon, which her son had described as becoming negative, Erin described it as strained. So, well, of course, strained is pretty negative, isn't it? So I suppose that's the same, really. So then the chat messages are shown cursing Don and Gail. The court is shown 2 messages sent to Facebook friends where Erin complains about her in-laws not supporting her in the financial dispute with Simon. And the first one ends in Erin saying, "This family, I swear to effing God." This expressed your true feelings about Don and Gail Patterson, didn't it? Dr. Rogers asks. No, Erin replies. The second ends in, "At least I know they're a lost cause." You know, that's quite chilling, isn't it? You know, it sounds that from what she was saying to her Facebook friends, you know, she was really angry with the Pattersons. You know, whether she's trying to sort of say that she obviously was angry with them. You know, I think really we can pretty much rely on that fact. But she disagrees that this expressed her true feelings about her parents-in-law. And Dr. Rogers then takes Erin Patterson to the message where she said, "F them," about her in-laws. Erin again expresses shame for the messages and denies they were her true feelings and denies that those feelings persisted until July. So again, what she's doing is saying that what she was saying then was not true, but what she's saying now is true. So everyone's got to forget all the lies she told and just believe what she's saying now at her trial, you know, after these poor people are dead. This is true, what she's saying, that she loved them like they were like her own mother and father. She loved them. But really, in the background on her Facebook messages, she's saying F them. You know, liar. So then Dr. Rogers' questioning is probing whether the messages express simply a vent or deeper emotional views Erin held towards her in-laws. So Rogers says, "Were you frustrated when you wrote F them?" Patterson says, "Yes, I was." And Rogers says, "Not angry?" Patterson says, "No, I was frustrated and upset." Now, she's quite often says this, Erin. "No, I wasn't angry, I was frustrated." When she was clearly angry. When you write F them, you're angry, aren't you? Why not just say, "Yes, I was angry," at that moment at least? Erin is then taken to a message where she wondered why Gail Patterson didn't reflect more on her deadbeat son. So she also referred to Simon as a deadbeat. Now, I don't know Simon, so maybe he was a deadbeat in some ways. But again, Erin was frustrated. And Roger says, "And hurt?" And Erin, with her word salad, "I don't think hurt is reflected in this message. I was frustrated." She's so slippery, isn't she? She's really slippery, Erin. Everything she says it in a way, she manipulates it around, doesn't she? So, you know, very strange person. Oh, now she's disagreeing again with the testimony of Christine Hunt, who was another witness. So, you know, I think they're piling up all these people that are wrong. You know, surely they can't all be wrong. You know, maybe one of them is wrong. People do remember things differently, don't they? Recollections may vary, as the Queen said. But They can't all be wrong, can they? So Erin then disagrees with more evidence previously given by her Facebook friend Christine Hunt. She disagrees that she told Miss Hunt that Simon was coercive or that she was never happy with his commitment to things. Erin seems mystified by some of Miss Hunt's claims raised by the prosecution, saying she wasn't sure where it stemmed from. And of course, yesterday she told the court she was not close with Miss Hunt. She would then take into evidence from another Facebook friend, Danielle Barkley, who recalled Erin telling her that Simon wasn't a very nice person. Well, surprise, surprise, guess what? Erin can't remember saying that. Erin can't recall that, but does recall messages expressing concern about Simon's cleanliness. Yeah, it is true, because I had to spend 2 weeks cleaning his house at one point. Well, she actually didn't have to, did she? She didn't have to spend 2 weeks cleaning his house. That's a choice that she made. And I know she was worrying because her children were going to stay there and she wanted the house to be clean, which is fair enough. But why didn't she just get a cleaner in to clean it? Or make him clean it? You know, she didn't have to. She also confirmed, she told Miss Barkley she wasn't happy with the way Simon lived. So she's admitting to that she wasn't happy with the way he lived or his cleanliness, but she doesn't remember saying he wasn't a very nice person. So the things that Erin doesn't remember is anything which might express her anger with Simon or his family. So Dr. Rogers then moves to a conversation that Erin had with Simon on July the 16th after a church service about the beef Wellington lunch. And his evidence, this is what Ms. Rogers says, his evidence is that you had some important medical news that you wanted advice on how to break it to the kids. Dr. Rogers says, and guess what? Erin says, that's not correct. You know, she just can't stop lying, can she? Simon went on to say that Erin told him she'd invited everyone to the lunch to discuss that topic. No, says Erin, that's not what I said to him. But even the other four, the three people who died and the survivor, Ian, they said the same thing, that Erin invited them to that lunch to talk about health issues. And that's why she said she didn't want the children to be there. But she's saying, no, she didn't. They're all lying. Did you ask him if he would be able to come on the 29th of July? Dr. Rogers asked. I did invite him to lunch, yes, Erin replies. He also said you were keen for the lunch not to be with the kids, Dr. Rogers says. Did you say that to Simon or not? I did not, Erin replies. Dr. Rogers puts to Erin that she thought Simon would be more likely to attend the lunch if he knew his parents and Heather and Ian were attending, but Erin disagrees. Dear me. So she's contradicting everybody else's evidence. But then afterwards, she had to concede that she did mention medical issues to Simon. So Dr. Rogers suggests that Erin fabricated the health issue to ensure there was a reason for her children not to be present, because you wanted to ensure there was no way that they could eat the meal you were planning to serve to your lunch guests, Dr. Rogers says. Or at least she didn't want to poison her children, but as I say, not yet. I mean, who knows further down the line when they start to get irritating to her? You know, what would she, those children were just not safe with her, don't you think? So Dr. Rogers then draws attention to a message sent from Erin Simon, which was read out earlier in the trial. So she forgets about the messages, of course. So this is a message. So this is true. She can't deny this. That's really disappointing. This is after he said he's not coming. You can just hear a whingy voice, can't you? I spent many hours this week preparing lunch for tomorrow, which has been exhausting in light of the issues I'm facing. So what she's saying is she's got cancer, which of course she didn't have. She was supposed to be going for a gastric bypass. It's been exhausting in light of the issues I'm facing. And I've spent a small fortune on beef eye fillet to make beef Wellingtons. Because I wanted it to be a special meal. Well, she decided that. They probably would have been happy with a curry or a spaghetti bolognese or something. She's the one who wanted to make the beef Wellingtons. And what was it came up? Something came up the other day. I think this is relevant. When she was a kid, her mum would always make beef Wellingtons on special occasions. Beef Wellingtons have obviously got some sort of resonance with Erin. But all this that she's whinging at Simon, these are her choices. Simon didn't ask her to make beef Wellington. It's not a question where Simon said, oh, when we come to lunch, can we all have beef Wellington? And then afterwards he said, oh, I'm not coming. That would be irritating. But she's made these decisions. I wanted it to be a special meal, as I may not be able to host a lunch like this again for some time. Emotional blackmail. It's important to me that you're all there tomorrow and I can have the conversations that I need to have. Don't forget, all that's proven to be lies now. She didn't have cancer. She had nothing wrong with her whatsoever. I hope you'll change your mind. Your parents and Heather and Ian are coming at 12:30. I hope to see you there. That is passive aggression. If I've ever heard passive aggression, that's it. So it's like there's like a veiled threat in there, isn't it? So I hope to see you there, but you feel that sort of you better be there. And, because it's exhausting in the light of her conditions that before she said she'd never mentioned Simon. She hadn't said she wanted him there for her health issues. Now she's saying, now we see this message. So she's been exposed in another lie. So after some protracted questioning, Erin concedes she did invite Simon to the lunch after mentioning medical issues to him on July the 16th. But she says she wasn't seeking advice and the discussion wasn't the purpose of the lunch. Of course it wasn't. Oh, for God's sake. So your evidence is that in passing you mentioned to Simon that you wanted to discuss the topic with the broader group, Dr. Rogers asks. And Erin replies, I said to him that there was some medical stuff or medical issues I wanted to talk about. So now she has to concede that she had said it to him after she's just said she didn't. All I can tell you is that's not why I was inviting him. It was not why I was inviting anybody. No, the reason she was inviting him and them was to poison them and to kill them. That's why. So she's right. She's telling the truth there, I think. She's a very good manipulator, isn't she? Yeah, Bluebell. Exhausting cooking a dinner that, as I say, she chose to make that dinner. Why didn't she make something simple? Why didn't she get takeaway in? It's just like, there's no point saying to people, oh God, I've done all that, when it's not them who's asked you to do it. She invited them for lunch. She decided to make beef Wellington. It's not that they said, oh, can we come to lunch and can you make beef Wellington? Wasn't their request, but it's their fault because she was exhausted. So Dr. Rogers then returns to the text between Erin and Simon after Simon told her he wouldn't be attending. Specifically, a line from Erin saying, I may not be able to host a lunch like this again for some time. Oh, pity me, poor me. Pity party me. Which Erin agrees is a reference to a medical issue. And Dr. Rogers puts to Erin that she lied to Simon in the message, where she said it was important I can have the conversations that I need to have. And when asked if it was a reference to medical issues, Erin says yes. But you weren't confronting any medical issues, were you? Dr. Rogers says. And Erin says, I think I was, stating her gastric bypass surgery appointment for early September was booked in at a clinic in Melbourne. So this is July. She's going for gastric bypass surgery. According to her, I think she's made this up personally. And that's she was embarrassed about the gastric bypass surgery, even though the appointment's not till September. This was 2 months before. So that's why she was getting them all round. But she was going to tell him she had cancer because she was too embarrassed to tell him she was having a gastric bypass surgery. Whatever, Erin. Miss Patterson agrees she had hoped her messages would lead Simon to attend the meal. Good job Simon didn't attend, but you know what? It's a shame he couldn't tell his parents not to go as well. Dr. Rogers then suggests that Erin had made an extra poisoned beef Wellington for Simon. Erin says this is wrong, and Dr. Rogers suggests that when he had not attended, Erin had thrown the extra Wellington in the bin. I think, do you think that when Erin went off to those flying lessons the next day and she went in the toilet for 9 seconds, do you think that's where she threw this extra beef Wellington? Because now, knowing what we know now, I think Erin did not know right up to the last minute that Simon wouldn't come. So although Simon obviously had said he wasn't coming, Erin had tried to emotionally blackmail him into coming, and probably, because she said, didn't she, oh, well, they're coming at 12:30, please try and be there. So I think right up to the last minute, she perhaps wasn't certain that he wasn't coming. Anyway, he didn't go, luckily for him. So she had this extra poisoned beef Wellington. It makes you wonder, isn't it? Is that what she went into the toilet to dispose of in those 9 seconds that she went to the toilet on the way to the flying lesson? So Erin says, Dr. Rogers suggests that when he had not attended, Erin had thrown the extra Wellington into the bin. Erin says she did throw mushroom and pastry in the bin, but she denied she had attempted to poison her estranged husband. And don't forget, initially, she was charged with his attempted murder as well, but they dropped that, didn't they? So Dr. Rogers then goes to a conversation that took place between Erin and Simon in a hospital on the Tuesday after the lunch. Erin has previously said that Simon confronted her and asked her if she'd used the dehydrator to poison his parents, but Simon denies that. So again, who do we believe? Do we believe Erin or do we believe Simon? In evidence earlier this week, Erin said that after the conversation, it got me thinking about all the times I'd used it, the dehydrator. So what she's now saying is, because Simon said this thing, which he says he didn't say, asked her if she'd used the dehydrator to poison his parents, because of that, that's why she threw the dehydrator away, or that's what started her off thinking it'd be a good idea to throw the dehydrator away. So she's blaming Simon for it all, so, just ridiculous. Ridiculous. It's all Simon's fault. It's all everybody's fault except Erin's, of course. So in evidence, and how I had dried foraged mushrooms in it weeks earlier. So because this is according to Erin, because Simon mentioned the dehydrator and asked her if she'd used it to poison his parents, she started thinking about all the mushrooms she'd foraged and dried in it weeks earlier. And then she started to think, what if they'd gone in the container with the Chinese mushrooms? Right? And Dr. Rogers recounts Erin then told the court she became scared and started to worry that authorities would think it was intentional. So you agree that you told police in your record of the interview that you loved Don and Gail? Dr. Rogers asked. Correct, Erin says. So then Dr. Rogers says, surely if you had loved them, you would have immediately notified the medical authorities that there was a possibility that the foraged mushrooms had ended up in the meal. Dr. Rogers said, I mean, it makes sense, doesn't it? Suddenly you hear that your relatives that you've served these mushrooms to are deathly ill in hospital. And you'd be thinking, oh my God, it could be those mushrooms that are foraged. And you'd go straight and tell them that because you'd want them to treat them for that. And she just says, well, I didn't. Well, I didn't. God, she's awful, this woman. I had been told that people were getting treatment for possible death cap mushroom poisoning. So that was already happening. So basically what she's saying, well, she'd heard that they were getting treatment for death cap mushroom poisoning anyway. So there's no point in telling them because they already knew. And that's why I think Erin was absolutely astounded at how quick the hospital, or even that the hospital ever realised that these people had death cap mushroom poisoning. Now, how she thought she was going to explain 3 people dying just like that and another one mortally ill, I don't think she meant to kill them, perhaps. I think she just was trying to teach them a lesson. Did she put too much in there? That makes you wonder, doesn't it? Was it like, did she just think, right, I'll show you, I hate you all and I'm going to make you ill? You know, was she intending to kill to kill 5 people, because that was her original intention, if Simon would have turned up. To kill 5 people on one day, I mean, obviously questions are going to get asked, aren't they? So maybe she just wanted them to teach them a lesson, and she just didn't realise the potency. There's a possibility, I suppose. So Dr. Rogers notes that this was days before anyone had died, but Erin didn't tell a single person that foraged mushrooms may be in the meal. In fact, she told everyone she never goes foraging for mushrooms, didn't she, at the time? Correct, Erin says. Instead, on the Wednesday, Erin got up, drove the kids to school, and then came home and got rid of the dehydrator. And Erin confirms that's what happened. So that was the Wednesday. She took that dehydrator to the tip. So bearing in mind the lunch was on the Sunday, so she waited quite a few days before she did that. But anyway, that to me is just, I would be straight down the hospital with that and say, look, I'm absolutely mortified. I have foraged mushrooms before and I'm worried now there might be some trace in there. If you were innocent, you see, you would do that, because you wouldn't think, oh, they might think I did it. If you were innocent, would you? It wouldn't even cross your mind that they might accuse you. You just tell the truth about the situation. Anyway, they had a break then. Then they came back. And Dr. Rogers continues to ask Erin Patterson about her relation with her in-laws. Let me just... You're all okay in chat, yeah. You're okay. Okay. So she says, they did love me and I did love them, Erin says. I do love them. Dr. Rogers notes Simon had referred to tension in October 2022 between Erin and her parents-in-law, and Erin agrees that's what Simon said. Dr. Rogers asks her if that was true. From my point of view, I wasn't aware of any tension. Fuck off. Erin, you were telling your Facebook friends, fuck them. Don't lie. Why? She just can't help but lie, this woman. In that October period or September, yeah, she says. In December, Erin notes there was some tension, which was evident in the signal messages, where clearly I was frustrated. I wonder if this is what Mr. Mandy has told her. Never, don't say angry. Don't ever say angry, say frustrated, because she keeps saying that. It's over and over again, isn't it? Oh, I was frustrated. So I think she might have been instructed that. During his testimony, Simon said Erin sent inflammatory messages to the family group chat accusing him of things, and he was worried what effect the messages will have on his mother. Oh, and remember, there was evidence given that in the end, Gail stopped looking at the messages because it was distressing her. Dr. Rogers asked if Erin sent these extremely aggressive messages to the Signal group in 2022. Listen to this. I don't, because, this is what Erin resorts to when she's in tricky spot. She says, I don't remember. I don't think I did. I can't exactly recall. I don't think I sent. From my perspective, I'm not aware that there were any extremely aggressive or inflammatory messages. No, she says. Now she's going to say that Katrina Cripps, the lady from Child Protection Services, that she's wrong again. She lied as well. Or but she probably wouldn't say she was lying. She would say she was, as I say, recollections can vary. Dr. Rogers then moves to evidence from child protection worker Katrina Cripps, who said that after the lunch, Erin had told her she'd had a good relationship with her in-laws until recently. Miss Cripps told the court that Erin recounted to her feeling isolated since the relationship with Simon had deteriorated. Yeah, I think Erin was isolated. She liked being a part of that family, didn't she? She just liked it. She liked being the queen bee, borrowing the money, lending the money to people, being in control. I did become concerned about that, yes, Miss Patterson says. Did you tell Miss Cripps that you were not invited to the family events that you would normally attend? Dr. Rogers asks. And Miss Patterson says she thinks she would have phrased it more along the lines of being concerned that she was not being invited to events. There was only one that I know I wasn't invited to, Erin says. She says she had thought there was another event, but she was wrong about that. Erin wants to clarify that it's possible she said what Miss Cripps had remembered her saying. So here we go. My memory is also fallible. So I don't remember saying that. So I think she's wrong. Dr. Rogers asks Erin if Miss Cripps was wrong. And after a pause, Erin says, yes. So yeah, everyone's wrong, aren't they, except Erin, even though her memory is fallible. So remember that yesterday, Erin also told the court parts of Miss Cripps' testimony was incorrect. So Erin then recounts what she told the child protection worker Katrina days after the lunch about her relationship with her in-laws. I said that they had always treated me like a daughter, not a daughter-in-law. They treated me like their own daughter. Well, let's just have a look at I have to keep showing these victims because it seems to me that they were just lovely people, doesn't it? They cared about Erin. They ran around after her, gave her attention, and look what she did in response. That's how it feels to me. These people, they were lovely people. And she, even if she didn't do it on purpose, look what she did to them, the way she talked about them, just awful. But anyway, poor people. Hope they get their justice. I tell you, I hope they do. So Dr. Rogers then takes Erin Patterson back to a conversation she had with senior Dr. Rhonda Stewart days after the lunch. Professor Stewart gave evidence that Erin had told her the lunch was with her in-laws and ex-husband, but it wasn't unusual because she had a good relationship. And Erin says, I wouldn't have called Simon my ex-husband because he was not and still is not. She doesn't like to think of him not being her husband, does she? Even though apparently she doesn't want him. But she cannot recall speaking with Professor Stewart. I think she's got a bit of Alzheimer's, Erin Patterson. Do you know, a little bit, she's got a touch of dementia or something, because she can't bloody remember anything, can she? She can't remember anything. She can't recall that. She can't recall that saying that. All the tricky things she can't recall. Was it unusual for you to invite people to your house for lunch? Dr. Rogers asks. Yeah, probably true, Erin says. Well, I'll tell you what, nobody will be going to lunch at your house again, Erin, even if you manage to get found not guilty and get freedom. Who's going to go to Erin's house for lunch? Yeah, would you go? I mean, it'd be like, God, you'd have to take a food taster with you, wouldn't you? Not that that'd work, because, of course, these death cap mushrooms took like 2 days to kill someone, or 2-3 days. So she agrees she wanted this lunch to be a special event with her relatives. And Dr. Rogers then raises Simon's evidence that he, Erin, his parents, and his aunt and uncle had not eaten a meal together in years. And Erin says this is probably true. Probably true. Can't quite recall. Yeah. Whatever. So the prosecution accuses Erin of having 2 faces. Well, I definitely agree with that. I don't know what you all think. At least 2. At least 2 faces. Probably, about 10 faces Erin's got. Depends who she's talking to, doesn't it? She changes. She's got the super sleuth in the Facebook group, and the way she talks to all them. And then she's got the way she talks to Simon, the way probably she is with her kids, the way she is with her in-laws. She deals with people. She just presents whatever face she thinks is appropriate. So Dr. Rogers then takes Erin to her interview with police, held a week after the Beef Wellington lunch. In it, Erin spoke about how she had no other family and she wanted Gail and Don Patterson to stay in her kids' lives. They're good, decent people that have never done anything wrong by me, ever, Erin told the police. Well, she's saying that there, but that's not what she told the Facebook group, is it? Erin becomes emotional in the witness box for the first time today after her police interview is read out. Yeah. Next, Dr. Rogers launches into a series of suggestions put to Miss Patterson in rapid succession. I suggest that you didn't love them. Correct or incorrect? That's not true, Erin responds. Dr. Rogers puts to Erin she was angry about Gail and Don taking Simon's side in the dispute over finances. That's not true, Erin says. And Dr. Rogers puts to Erin that this feeling of anger continued. Incorrect, Erin says. You had 2 faces, a public face of appearing to have a good relationship with Don and Gail, as shown to various people, Dr. Rogers says. And you know what Erin said back? Are you asking me to agree if I had 2 faces? That's a funny reply, isn't it? You just say no. Incorrect again, wouldn't you? But she's getting leery, isn't she? She's being bullshit. It's like, what are you, are you stupid? Are you trying to asking me to agree if I had 2 faces? Why didn't she just say no or incorrect again? She's always got to get in that supercilious comment, hasn't she? Dr. Rogers repeats her initial question. I had a good relationship with Don and Gail, Erin says. And Dr. Rogers says, I suggest that your private face was the one you showed in your Facebook Messenger group. Incorrect. So she says incorrect there. So do you see how in that previous answer, are you asking me to agree if I had two faces? She's like being sarcastic, isn't she? And how you truly felt about Don and Gail was as you expressed it in your Facebook messages, Dr. Rogers says. Incorrect. Erin responds, why? Did she just respond incorrect to all the others? But that one where she says, oh, are you trying to ask me to agree if I had two faces? She's Larry. So Dr. Rogers puts to her that how she truly felt about Simon Patterson was how she expressed it to Facebook friends. Incorrect, Erin says. You did not regard him as being a decent human being at his core, Dr. Rogers says. Actually, I still believe that, Erin says, and Erin's voice wavers and breaks during this exchange. God, I would love to see her face and judge whether she genuinely is upset. And I mean upset about Don and Gail, not upset because she's been caught out. Because that's the problem that, quite often perpetrators, they start crying, don't they, when they get found out about things, but they're not really crying for their victims. They're crying for themselves, because they realise they've been caught out. So it'd be nice if only we could see it, but. So on the July 30th phone conversation between Simon and Erin is raised. Evidence given by Simon Patterson about a phone call on July the 30th. One day after the lunch is raised by the prosecution. And Dr. Rogers reads out the transcript from Simon's testimony, which read, I told her that Mum and Dad and Heather and Ian were all crook. Is that another Australian word? I'm learning a lot of Australian here. Crook, I presume, means ill, and that they'd been admitted to hospital. Dr. Rogers suggests Simon only informed Erin about his parents' illness and that the conversation ended after this point. But Erin disagrees. We discussed how Don and Gail were. That's how I found out about them in hospital, she says. Dr. Rogers suggests that after Simon told Erin about his parents, she did not ask any follow-up questions about their health. But Erin says this is wrong. So remember, Simon said she didn't ask about them, but she's saying she did. Dr. Rogers again asks if Erin ever inquired about Don's health during the phone call, and Erin maintains she did. Dr. Rogers returns to evidence from Simon, who said he was intrigued that Erin never asked how her in-laws were. Erin disagrees and said she did ask how her in-laws were going, as well as Ian and Heather Wilkinson. So the focus then turns to the other two guests, Ian and Heather Wilkinson. So Dr. Rogers reminds the court that Heather was Gail Patterson's sister and they lived in the same region. According to Erin's son, the relationship between the Wilkinsons and Erin was neither negative nor strong as of July 2023. Yeah, that's probably fair, Erin says. She agrees that they hadn't been to a Leongatha home before. Dr. Rogers reminds the court that Mr. Wilkinson gave evidence that he and his wife were excited to get the invitation to go to the lunch. That's very sad, isn't it? They were really pleased to get that invitation to go. They were looking forward to seeing Erin's home. They were happy to get the invited. Which is so it's even sadder, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? Because they were so excited looking forward to it. And also afterwards, they said it was delicious, before they got ill. So Dr. Rogers reminds the court that Mr. Wilkinson gave evidence that he and his wife were excited to get the invitation. And Dr. Rogers says, why is it that you invited Ian and Heather to the lunch? And Erin says, there were a few reasons. Yeah, I bet there were. Ian had been my pastor for years and years, Erin the atheist, and I would see and speak with Ian and Heather a lot after church. I really liked them, and I wanted to have a stronger relationship with them. When I had invited Don and Gail for lunch in June, Gail had said that what I had done in the garden was really nice and Heather would really like to see it. So Erin says she saw an opportunity to bring them closer together. I wanted to say thank you to them for being good to me over the years. Heather helped me a lot when my daughter was little and I was shy and I didn't know many people. Shy, yeah, whatever. I wanted to say thank you to her, Erin says, sobbing before reaching for a tissue to dab at both her eyes and sniff. Yeah, whatever. It's the Stefan Stearns crying, isn't it? Dab at your eyes with a tissue, but there's actually no tears. So Dr. Rogers suggests that Erin invited Heather and Ian to make it more likely that Don and Gail Patterson would come. And then, of course, she was probably thinking that if Don and Gail come, it's more likely that Simon will come. Erin denies this, saying Don and Gail would have come to the lunch because they loved her. Oh my God, this woman is right. She's going to hell, this woman. Let me just say, she knew that these poor people, they did love her as the mother of their grandchildren. You know, they did love her. She knew that. She's going to hell, 100%. Going to hell in a handcart, in my opinion. But she denies that Dr. Rogers then said she also invited Heather and Ian so that Simon would attend the lunch, denied it. So Dr. Rogers now asks Erin about her research skills. Remember Super Sleuth, her Facebook friends called her? And Miss Patterson agrees she can be a good researcher, as her Facebook friends have suggested to the court. And Erin says she doesn't think finding information quickly online is particular to her. Earlier in the trial, Victoria Police digital forensic expert Shaman Fox Henry gave evidence about data found on hard drives in a Cooler Master computer in Erin Patterson's house. Digital analysis showed records of access to the iNaturalist map of death cap mushrooms. And the court is shown a report generated as part of that analysis, which suggests that on May the 28th, 2022, the Bing search engine was used to look up the iNaturalist site. Listen to them. Well, honestly, it's not really surprising now, is it? Oh, it does look like somebody did that. Yes, Erin says. I don't remember doing it, but it's possible it was me. The only thing that gives me pause is I didn't use Internet Explorer or Bing, but I accept that maybe I did this time. I'm not sure. Rubbish. Dr. Rogers suggests she was not randomly browsing the internet and knew exactly what website she was looking for. I can't say that because I don't remember this, Erin says. Dr. Rogers says Erin knew what search term to enter to find iNaturalist because she had used the website before. I don't know, Erin says. Oh my God, of course she doesn't know. She doesn't know. She's Pinocchio. How do you know when she's lying? Well, apart from when she opens her mouth. When she says, I don't know, I'm not sure, it's possible, that's when we know she's lying, don't we? Oh, that's how it feels. Ay, 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 ay. The thing is about Erin is she's not going to worry about a mortal soul because she's already said she's an atheist. So she ain't going to worry about what happens for murder or whatever. She's got no compunction in that sense. She's not worried what's going to happen to her in the next life because she don't believe in the next life. As much as she's saying that she does now, she's a Christian suddenly now. She's not. So Erin says she wanted to know about deaf cat growth in Gippsland. So, it all comes out in the end, doesn't it? Dr. Rogers continues to follow the report and suggests that Erin then navigated to a more specific map about deaf cat mushrooms on the iNaturalist site. Guess what? I don't have any specific memory of this day or this internet search, but my evidence is possible, Erin says. It's possible. I don't remember. I can't be sure. Because I remember at some point wanting to find out if deaf cat mushrooms grow in Gippsland and finding out that they do not. So it might have been that search. Now, maybe I'm being thick here, but why would she want to know if they grow there? Having said that, if the police came in and checked my computer at the moment, they would find a lot about, do deaf cat mushrooms grow in Spain? Where can you find deaf cat mushrooms? So I hope nobody's ever poisoned with deaf cat mushrooms that I know, because I'd be prime suspect because it's on all my internet searches now. So then the court is showing a screenshot of an iNaturalist page taken in December 2024. It shows a map of Melbourne extending into the Victorian region around it, and red dots mark out deaf cat mushroom sightings. And this link is one that Dr. Rogers alleges Erin Patterson looked at in May 2022 on the Cooler Master computer. Again, Erin says it could be, but she's not sure. That's followed by an URL for a specific listing for a deaf cat mushroom sighting in Moorabbin in Melbourne's southeast. Again, Erin says, it's possible. I don't know. Dr. Rogers puts to Erin that she was the one who used the Cooler Master computer to search for these things. And she says, I don't know, when asked if it could be her children. Now, it's not likely that the children would be searching deaf cat mushrooms. Until all this, they wouldn't have even known what they were. I mean, those poor children, luckily they've still got their dad. Luckily, because they're likely going to lose their mum if she goes to prison, which is awful. And to all intents and purposes, it does seem that maybe Erin is a good mum. But at the end of the day, she killed their allegedly killed their grandparents who they were quite close to, tried to kill their father. So if she's found guilty, it's awful. She may not have given her kids deaf cat mushrooms, but she definitely has hurt them irretrievably if she's found guilty, hasn't she? What she's done to her kids. There definitely should be a charge for that, because now, where are Erin's parents now? I mean, did they have no contact with these grandchildren? We've heard a little bit about Erin's parents, haven't we? That they didn't turn up at her wedding. They were in Russia on the train. She's very down about them, isn't she? That she had this terrible childhood. I don't think it can have been that terrible, really, because, she was left £2 million by her grandma, so she did all right out of her family, didn't she? But I know emotional things are important. She may well have been emotionally abused, Erin. And she may have had problems, but then, that's still, as you know, I don't take that as an excuse, because there's so many people that are emotionally abused, have terrible childhoods. They get dragged up practically. They don't go and kill somebody. They don't go and take out their, the unfortunate upbringing they've had on other people. In fact, if anything, they become more empathetic towards other people. So I can't accept this defence of having had a terrible childhood. Not that we even know that she did have a terrible childhood, but even if she did, it doesn't excuse anything. So then the court was adjourned. I mean, that was a lot, even though it was a shortened day, wasn't it? They're really getting into this, really getting into this testimony now. So Friday is a shortened day of proceedings. Justice Beale jumps in and calls an end to proceedings. Now let's have a look again at Justice Beale. I like to show you all the people that are involved. Oh, they passed away, have they? Oh, what happened to them? Do you know? God, that's a bit worrying, isn't it? I'll do a little Google for that. So Alana says, I just came over from an Aussie channel. We're not even allowed to put forward alleged thoughts or channel owner gets full ban because communist Victorian rule. Is that because... because of the trials ongoing? I don't know. I suppose they've got, YouTubers have to be careful, I suppose. I don't know, but I don't think, people putting over their opinions, surely people are allowed to give an opinion, are they? Anybody know what happened to... Yeah. How did they pass? How did they pass? I'm going to have a little Google of that because I don't know. I was wondering why, they were not mentioned at all. Does she have siblings? She's got a sister as well, hasn't she? Oh, I can't see anything on here. Hang on. Can't see anything, nothing coming up easily on Google. I mean, it's probably one of them where you have to search for it. That's odd. Yeah, I can't find anything sort of easily on here. Wonder if Reddit's normally quite good. It's funny because there's nothing on here about Erin's parents. Anyway, I don't know if I'll try and look into that, but just looking there, just, having a Google, normally think, Google's good, isn't it? Normally, you put in, what happened to Erin Patterson's parents, and it just comes up all about the trial and what happened to her in-laws and everything. Nothing's coming up about her biological parents. Strange, isn't it? Oh, thank you, Maria. See if you can find anything. So, 10 years apart, they died. Right. Oh, the mother had cancer. Oh, so is that why she was supposedly concerned about cancer? Very odd. Well, not odd. People die. I know. Erin's 50. So I suppose her parents could easily be elderly. I don't know how old they were when they had Erin. But equally, they could only be 70. 70's young these days, isn't it? So, well, any days. Well, it's young when you're 62. Oh my God, you just think, how did that happen? So sorry, I was going to show you Justice Beale. I like to, show you the people that are concerned in this. And I've showed you a photo of Justice Beale. So he's a bit of an enigma, isn't he? I wonder what that protest was about when the guy, because remember earlier in the trial, some guy broke in and protested, not about Erin, but about this judge, said some horrible things about him apparently. And yeah, so I don't know what that was all about. But this is him, Justice Beale. He's been cracking a few jokes here and there, hasn't he, and making the court laugh, which to me doesn't actually seem appropriate. So I'll just show you some of the people again just before we finish. This is Funky Tom, the mushroom expert that gave his expert. I just like saying Funky Tom. That's why I keep showing him. I just because that's his moniker, his nickname on the iNaturalist site. This is Colin, of course. Colin Mandy, the defence lawyer. Nanette Rogers, Dr. Nanette Rogers, the prosecutor. This is Ian Wilkinson, the survivor, the only survivor, who's got to sit through all this crap. I mean, it's, we're sort of reading through it and we find it like offensive, to how he finds it. I have no idea. He's got to sit through all that. I wonder what he makes of it all. This, of course, is Lady Erin. These are the culprits, the death cat. These are death cat mushrooms. As I said, they do look innocuous, don't they, really? I mean, they're not like those sort of red mushrooms with the white dots or whatever. They don't look like they're poisonous. Somebody could quite easily confuse them with edible mushrooms, I think. Though apparently they smell quite pungent, apparently. This was the pastry brand that was put on the beef Wellington, combination of puff pastry and phyllo pastry, and all that was put together to make a beef Wellington for these poor, unfortunate people. That was like a last supper, wasn't it, for them? This is Simon, her ex-husband. Oh, no, he's not her ex-husband, don't forget. She said he's not her ex-husband. She wouldn't have called him her ex-husband because he's still her husband. And what else have I got? I've got another photo of anybody. Oh, yeah, the lady, Sally, the child protection lady who Erin says is lying about everything. So these are some of the people that are involved in this case. But of course, the most important person who's giving evidence at the moment is Erin. She's the accused. Did she do it? And if she did it, well, she did do. There were definitely death cat mushrooms in that meal. I think that's just, she's even acknowledged that. It's just a question, did she do it on purpose? Or was it genuinely an accident? And then she panicked. Well, we've got to put the other side of it. What the defence is saying, what she's saying is, yes, she accepts there were death cat mushrooms in that beef Wellington, but it was a complete accident. And she threw away the dehydrator, told all the lies about not foraging and things because she was scared. Because Simon had put that idea in her head, that she might get found, cast aspersions on. So that's why she threw it all away and tried to cover up for something that she hadn't done. So that's basically, isn't it, where we are. So Justice Beale, he has told the jury there are still some lengthy legal discussions ahead of them after the long weekend, and he reminds them not to discuss the case with anyone else besides other jurors, and court is adjourned. I wonder if we've got a little video. They normally put a little video. So let's have this. Anyway, we'll listen to their summary. of what happened. So today, Erin confirmed that she did make mention of medical issues when inviting Simon Patterson to lunch. She had to be talked into that, didn't she? At first she said she didn't. But when Nanette Rogers brought up these things, she admitted it. She did not inform medical professionals that forage mushrooms might be in the meals she cooked, even after learning her relatives were ill. It was unusual for her to host a lunch at her house, and the Pattersons and Wilkinsons had not had a meal together in a long time. And she at one point wanted to find out if death cap mushrooms grew in Gippsland. So she admitted all that, but she denied suggestions that she never told Simon Patterson about changing her children's school, that she was angry. These are things she denied. She wasn't, so I'll do it in that way. She wasn't angry with Don and Gail Patterson due to a stoosh, there's a new Australian word for me, over child support and school fees. She said she didn't send inflammatory messages to a family group chat. She said she didn't have two different faces, one she presented publicly that loved the Patterson family, and another she showed privately that mocked them. And she denied that she told her Facebook friend Christine Hunt that Simon was coercive. She denied that her lunch invitation to Heather and Ian was a tactic to convince Don, Gail and Simon to also attend the lunch. And she denied that she made an extra poison beef Wellington for Simon, which she threw away after he did not attend. And then evidence was raised that Erin said she could not remember, such as web search history from a computer found in her home, which showed visits to the iNaturalist site. So there's your summary. So, well, luckily for us on our channel, we can give our opinions, unlike some Australian, the Australian channels. It's a shame because sorry, I'm just looking at the chat now, so I'm getting distracted. You know, at the end of the day, we're not on the jury. It's the jury. The jury can't discuss it. Of course they can't. They're the ones that. But people are going to discuss it. How are you going to stop people from discussing it? How are you going to stop? In a massive case like this, you can't stop people discussing it. And at the end of the day, all that matters is what the jury think. Yeah. Why hasn't Simon divorced her? That's strange, isn't it? But the thing is, Simon, we'll see what happens after the trial and what going on. What if now we're really getting into conspiracy theories. Yeah. It is, I don't want to exactly, David, it's impossible to stop people thinking. We can't stop people thinking, can you? But yeah, thing about Simon why haven't they divorced even over the years? Now, you can really, don't forget Simon, Erin is the one with the money. So I suppose Simon could divorce her and now he would get the money, wouldn't he? Because I'm presuming he's looking after the kids. I don't know who's got kids at the moment. Maybe they're in child protection custody or whatever. I don't know. But yeah, it is. God, you just can't think that Simon could have been involved in it, can you? Because it's funny he didn't go. But of course, don't forget there have been times when he had been ill, after eating with Erin. So Oh, I don't know. Do you know what? In this crazy world, nothing would surprise me, to be honest. Nothing would surprise me. But there you go. So, yeah, maybe it's, well, we don't know that he hasn't started divorce proceedings, do we? We don't know. Or maybe he's waiting till the trial, because he doesn't know if she's going to be found guilty or not yet, does he? So maybe he's waiting for the verdict before he does anything. I don't know. Literally don't know. I don't know if he's still going to, in contact with Erin. We just don't know. Or maybe he's been told not to have any contact with her. So we don't know all those details behind the scenes. So maybe they'll come out. I think it's got to come to the result first. Thank you, Tracy. Is there our little summary? Oh, that was the other thing that happened this morning, as after dealing with everything, like the cockroach and the call to mass, call to church, whatever was going on today. And all the electricity cut off. I suddenly realised that the blouse that I wanted to wear, which was this blouse, is one of the very, very few things that I have that you have to iron. I try and avoid ironing at all costs. I buy things that don't have to be ironed. But this, it does have to be ironed. So just as I was about to come on, I had to iron this as well. It's a shame. I know these are pathetic little whinges. That's the worst thing that happens all day, that I have to iron something. I'm lucky, aren't I? So, but yeah, I do like this blouse. It's very summery in the sense of it's cool, because it's going to be hot. It's already 23 degrees. I've got to go actually out and about later. I hate going out in the sun. So, yeah, so I think at the end of the day, until this verdict is reached, Simon can't make any decisions. I don't know. He's on hold. His life's on hold. Just, this is what happens, isn't it, with these trials? And this trial is going to go on a lot longer yet, or at least another week, isn't it? So, yeah. No, I haven't been to the pool yet. I haven't been to the pool, Bluebell. I haven't had a chance. I don't think I'm going to get a chance this weekend, to be honest. But I'll get there sooner or later. I have started having cold showers. I'm only on 1 or 2 a day at the moment. But it won't be long before I'll be on about 10 cold showers a day when it gets really hot. Okay. Yeah, a cucaracha, la cucaracha. Yeah, bloody great big cucaracha in my house this morning. Anyway, I sprayed it and it's gone down the toilet to a watery heaven. And you know what? I don't like killing them. I don't like killing anything. But I can't have it roaming around the house. I just can't have it roaming around the house. And it's funny because, of course, they don't bite or anything, but they're just so revolting, horrible things. They give you the right creeps, and there's insects don't creep me out. I don't mind spiders. Never kill spiders. I quite like spiders because they get the mosquitoes and all the other little creatures that come out when it starts to get hot. So yeah, and the spiders here in Spain, they're not poisonous spiders and they're not big spiders. But there you go. Bye, Tracy. Have a good day. Okay, I'm going, and I'm going to play to go out. I'm going to play a new video that I showed to the members last night, which is one of the songs that one of the chatters sent me. And I just put it to a dance video. So we can finish off with a dance, try and put us in a good mood. We won't be hearing anything about this particular case till Tuesday. But I've got lots of things I want to talk about today, and that I'm hoping that I'll be able to fit in a long chat encompassing about 8 little things they're not little things, they're big things, But 8 short chats, I'm going to just do one big chat and then later sort of cut it up and release them individually. But I'm going to finish off with the little dance. Hopefully set you up for a good day. So thank you all for watching. Of course, don't forget to like. Hang on a minute. Let me just sort myself out. Yeah, I don't know if it's Charlie's birthday or not. They said the King's birthday. Now, of course, he's got 2 birthdays, hasn't he? The monarchs always have 2 birthdays. They have their real birthday, and they have like an official birthday. But I don't think it's a bank holiday in the UK. It's funny that it's bank holiday in Australia, really, because as far as I know, I don't think it's a bank holiday in the UK. Any of you UK chatters maybe can tell me. So just not sure what that's about, really, to be honest. Yeah, he wants 2 sets of birthday presents, Alana, because as if he hasn't got enough crap already, you know what I mean? Wants another golden throne or a golden crown or some birthday present. 2 lots of birthday presents. Joe, actually, I was thinking about creating another birthday because my birthday's in August. And it's a really bad time to have a birthday in Spain because it's so hot and there's tourists everywhere and everything's expensive, like if you want to go away for the weekend or something like that. So it's the most terrible time you can imagine to have a birthday. So I was thinking, yeah, I need to have a second birthday like the monarch so that I can celebrate it in October or something, like a more, you know, not so hot and not tourists everywhere. Anyway, so yeah, it'd be a good idea to have 2 birthdays. Right, yeah, like Christmas in July, Maria. Yeah, it must be weird. I don't like here, Christmas here. I just pretend that it's cold, and you know, a lot of people go to the beach at Christmas here in Spain. I can't imagine. I don't want to go to the beach at Christmas. It's Christmas. I want it to be cold, and I want to be cozy in the house with the Christmas tree on and watching a load of rubbish on telly and eating nice things. I want it to feel Christmassy. So, yeah, I don't want to go to the beach with like thousands of people and get sand everywhere and all that. So, you know, I'm a real, what's the word? I'm a real party pooper. I don't like being around loads and loads of people. And that's the thing is, people go to the beach here on Christmas Day. It's packed. You can't park. There's people everywhere. They all take their dogs, which, you know, is nice. I'm not against dogs, as you know. I love dogs. But really, I don't think it's a good idea to take them where there's all those people and not a load of other dogs. So it all the dogs get stressed. Everybody gets stressed. So. Okay, I'm definitely going now. So remember to have a little dance to this. And I'll see you really soon in the next video. And until then, may your God go with you. Bye.
Oh, you Vicky Marie, you're so dream, you're so bold. Your YouTube world is the purest gold. With every video, fresh and new, you light my days with joy so true. Oh, Vicky Marie, your voice, your charm, your spark, your flare, keep me glued beyond compare. alone.